My name is CJ Caselli, and I'm joined by my co founder, Dr. Brad Waffa, and together we run TrustVet, a veterinary urgent care clinic in Cary, North Carolina. We field questions from pet parents like you all the time, so let's dive into one. Dr. Waffa, we are back and we're talking about dogs licking today, which is kind of a weird topic. We're in this public place and we've watched a bunch of people go by.
Yeah.
Their handshakes, high fives, some people have given each other hugs. No one has licked each other.
Yet.
Yeah, that's true, yet. But dogs do. So what is the deal with dogs and their tongues?
Yeah, right. Dogs and their tongues. What a fun question. Dogs just experience the world differently than people. As human beings, we are very heavily reliant on our sense of sight and our hearing. But wild canids, spend some time on National Geographic, watch them move. Dogs in the wild, when they're not howling at the moon or something else, they're actually pretty quiet. They just experience the world differently. We're sight driven, we're sound driven. They're very tactile and they're very olfactory or smell driven. And their tongue is kind of part of that. They do a lot of sensing and detecting the world with their mouths.
Yeah. And I think we've all seen that, right? Our dogs lick all sorts of stuff. I mean, my dog comes up and licks me, and people always kind of view it as a sign of affection. It's almost like, oh, your dog's kissing you, they love you. Or in other cases, a dog is licking themselves to clean themselves. Maybe they got hurt and it's almost like they're caring for themselves in that way. So speaking more about, the reasons dogs lick either us or themselves, what are some of those reasons?
Yeah. So dogs have a lot more hair than we do. Not much more than you and me, maybe.
Yeah, speak for yourself. Yeah.
But dogs groom themselves. Dogs are fairly fastidious creatures, and when they're not arthritic, they will bend in every which way to try to clean everything. Now, we have to use that word carefully. Dogs' mouths are not clean per se. There's a lot of bacteria. There's a common misconception that dogs lick their wounds and are therefore cleaning their wounds. They can actually introduce infection in that way. But they don't like matted hair. They don't like stuff stuck in their fur. So they will 100% lick themselves just to try to keep themselves clean and tidy. And that's a very kind thing to do for your friend too. So, we consider licking an affiliative behavior in dogs. It's one of the ways that, you could think of it in human terms, sort of as affection or of, saying, hey, you're part of my group. We have to be careful sometimes when we're ascribing those types of human behaviors to dogs because they do think and experience the world differently. But the study of animal behavior in ethology, we would consider that an affiliative behavior.
So what about this? You almost hinted at this. What about the age-old rumor, a dog's mouth is the cleanest thing in the world?
Not true. Not true at all.
You heard it here first. It is a rumor.
Yeah, definitely not true.
Okay. And then, we're a vet clinic. Is there ever a reason someone should come into our clinic for their dog licking? Is there something we should encourage people to watch out for or some sort of medical concern that they should be aware of?
Yeah, it's not commonly something that we associate with a medical problem, but certainly, my first rule of thumb is if it seems odd, if it's like abnormal for your pet, your pet better than anyone. So listen to your gut on this. It can be, absolutely. I had a very memorable case, one of my first few years in practice, where a dog was brought in because it had been obsessively licking the bricks around the fireplace.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, right? Like kind of an odd presentation, and blood work revealed that the animal was grossly anemic. And so we have to remember that in nature, animals will sometimes lick things like rocks to try to get salts and trace minerals. And in this particular case, the dog was missing iron and magnesium from his internal blood loss. So it can be. Additionally, dogs will sometimes lick their lips, and that's a presentation we sometimes hear clients come in and describe. My dog's been licking his lips a lot. He's been kind of like lip smacking. Right. And that can be a hallmark sign of regurgitation, which if you want to learn more about regurgitation, check out our last podcast.
Yeah,
exactly. But it's not vomiting. So you don't get the classic you just get like irping. And when that happens, dogs irp fluid into their mouths and then they swallow it and then they smack their lips. And sometimes that's the only sign until they present with aspiration pneumonia and have a much more serious problem. So if your dog is, if your dog is licking you, if your dog is licking playfully, if your dog is greeting other dogs and licking, that's not generally a sign for concern. But any odd behavior associated with licking, for sure, bring them in, have them evaluated.
Super helpful. Thanks, Dr. Wafa. Hey, thanks for listening. If you'd like to learn more about TrustVet, please visit our website at www.trustvet.com.